easy for you. Leave now, or we kill you. I'm happy either way.
The time has come for something new. Something to change the game. When seeking fortunes at the fringes of civilization, you need someone you can trust. In this age of uncertainty, it's time to take back your strength. It's time to release the Kraken. Drake Interplanetary. We got your back.
So, welcome everybody. We're here at the Drake Interplanetary show. I'm glad to see some of you have joined us. As you can see, we're just having a little walk around the Drake Cutlass Black. I am joined by Rocketman from Synchronizers. Today we're going to go over the pros, the cons, weapon loadouts, what ship would appeal to, etc. And so looking at the Drake show itself, it's very, very impressive. I'm really impressed with what they've done with the Drake show. When you look at compared to some of the other bits and pieces that were done for some of the other brands, they really have taken it and knocked it out of the park, in my view. So yeah, it's without further ado, let's on with the show. So Rocketman, welcome, sir.
Well, thanks, Peanut. So yeah, I agree. This is a very impressive show they've got going here. As they're calling it, Defense Con, as opposed to the Invictus show. I guess they're not part of the main show, but well, they've set up an alternative here that's very impressive. Look at this hall.
Yeah, it does look great. Does look great. I'm super impressed with it. Yeah, you know, it just shows what can be done with a demonstration of ships from a manufacturer, doesn't it?
It really does. Everything is so beautifully laid out. The red accent lighting is very impressive to complement their red signs, and I just love what they've done. These big screens in the back, everything. It's great. Really,
yeah,
really
very
well
much
done.
So this ship is one of those ships that really needs no introduction. Everybody pretty much knows this ship, the Cutlass Black, the kind of fan favorite, the go-to ship for a lot of players, either as a new player, as an intermediate player, or as a hardened Star Citizen person. You know, most fleets has got a Cutlass Black.
Oh, for sure. It's just such an incredible value, such a versatile ship. This is, for me, it was the ship that I went to after having gone through, a couple of starter ships. To have that capability of something that, can fight, can carry 46 SEs of cargo, can carry vehicles. It just does everything.
Yeah, I looked at this ship. I started with an Aurora, and then you just see this ship, and you're just like, yeah, you just got to do it. It's just It cries out, I'm a spaceship. It cries out, I've got character. It's just everything about this ship, and it's still, even today, still my favourite go-to ship. Admittedly, it's getting challenged a little bit by the mole at the moment, but yeah, it's just a great all-round ship. For multi-crew, for single player.
You miners are all alike, but no, but this has this wonderful cockpit layout with the two seats that raise up, that really give you that sort of a Apache helicopter kind of a perspective. So you got great visibility out of the cockpit. For the size, this is a decently maneuverable ship. You could upgrade the components on this ship to stronger shields, coolers, weapons, and it'll be a very impressive dogfighter. Again, the ability to carry that much cargo, vehicles, you could carry Marines on board and do dropship operations. You want to do, bunker missions, that sort of thing. It's perfect for that. It's got the nice big turret on the top. It just got a little bit of everything. Again, the versatility and the value is just unsurpassed.
And CLG seem to favour it for prison breaks as well from their video.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
I love the fact that it has a ramp in the back here. This is one of my favorite things. I love ships that have ramps. This is a very nice ramp. It makes it real easy to get in and out with just if you're carrying packages, if you've got a bunch of troops you need to deploy, vehicles, whatever it might be. Got a couple of pads here designated specifically for dragonflies, but you could put cyclones in here, noxes, all sorts of different things. And yeah.
So the interesting thing is when you look at this, so obviously we looked at the freelancers, which have the turret that comes down at the back, which does obstruct in some regards getting in the ramp here, but you don't suffer with that on the Cutlass. You know, it's
no, you don't.
one of those ships.
It's got these little fold-down seats in the back here, so if you have people that you're transporting, you know, there's 6 of those seats. They got a place to sit.
So you don't lose them in quantum.
Yep. So
and they've got a nice little security feature, really, with the side doors, because you can hop out the side doors, and you can't jump in the side doors from planet side and that, which does mean that you're less likely to get hijacked by jumping out the side doors rather than opening the back door and then waiting for the back door to close again and that. So quite a nice feature. I do like that. It becomes like a mini drop ship.
Yeah, and for EVA work, these are fantastic. They're really easy to get in and out of the ship, and so if you're going out and you're doing missions where you're going to a wreck site or something like that, this is fantastic for that.
So let's move up into the cockpit, shall we?
Yeah, I love this cockpit, as I said. So let's just go around a bit here. We've got the turret. We got a couple of bunks, so you can log out in this ship. You got gun racks that work, so you can store some weapons in here if you want to.
That's
and then
nice.
You got your 2 very interesting seats here with this arrangement where they actually elevate up to give you a much better view, so that you can look around and really see a good view, 180 degrees left and right, and up and up at least works very well. Not much visibility down, but it's not terrible. There are some side windows down there, so you do get some visibility down. It's not bad.
Yeah, so we discussed with the previous ships the fact of the things like track IR and those sort of bits and pieces, and again, this cockpit works really well with that because you have got that visibility movement, so you can actually look around. And there's you have got the pillars, but they don't overly obstruct your view. They're just there. And
I think it helps a lot that they mainly run fore and aft, and not so much left to right, which seems to be more of a problem in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the one thing that we haven't seen that this ship, if it had it, it would be absolutely perfect?
It's got to be the bathroom, isn't it? It's got to be the toilet. It's just missing that.
It's just so bizarre that they haven't, with all this space, either in here or back here on the cargo deck. I've always thought this spot right up on the front right side here
just round to the left.
Perfect.
Yeah,
right
definitely.
Here. Why couldn't you put a little closet loo right there? I mean, I don't understand why they don't have one.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that is just kind of one of the shortcomings. And so while we're on that subject and we talk about like the pros and the cons, some of the negative things you hear about the ship is firstly no ejector seat. For combat there's no ejector seat, but I suppose neither is the freelancer. Neither is the freelancer really got so it's falling kind of more into that class of ship, I guess, than into the class of the likes of your one-man fighters and such like. So the other thing is go on.
What Drake is going for, right, is for the more the civilian market where you want to have paramilitary capability, right? So it's more of a commercial ship that also is tough and can fight and defend itself. So that's not their primary focus, being a military ship, but it's a strong second focus. Let's put it that way.
So armor-wise, though, quite kind of not the strongest of armor really as far as ships go.
No.
So
No.
some people do say that they are a bit of a ship that can really take damage very easily. However, you get a good pilot, these are a menacing thing to deal with.
Yeah, well, you can put quite a bit of offensive capability on this ship, and you can upgrade the shields, and that will make quite a bit of difference. And obviously, once the shields go down, or if you're being attacked by ballistic weapons, you want to keep an eye on that, because once the hull does start taking damage, it happens pretty fast.
Got ya. Okay. So weaponry that this ship currently has, then. So we've got weapons that are controlled by the pilot, and we got obviously the turret sat on top.
Right. So the pilot-controlled weapons in this are actually quite good because you have there's 4 size 3 hard points, and then typically what you're doing is putting gimbals on that and putting size 2 weapons on it. But those are all controlled by the pilot. And then you also have the turret, which is 2 more size 3s.
Mm-hmm.
And then in addition to that, you also have a complement of missiles. They're size 2 missiles. But forget how many total it carries, but it's a decent amount. Let me see if I can find that spec real quick.
Welcome to the channel, Rascal.
I believe it's 12.
12. So half decent amount of missiles as well.
Yeah, so it's again not going to be the strongest ship out there, but people actually go out and do bounty missions with these. It's certainly got enough power to handle that.
Mm-hmm.
You can see here the turrets, the gimbals that are mounted under the wings, and the size 2 guns that are on there now. And then what I used to like to do in the old flight model was actually put fixed on it. And I think in the long run, fixed weapons are going to get balanced out a lot better in Star Citizen, and we might go back to that. So you can put 4 size 3s on this, plus the 2 on the turret. That's going to be pretty impressive.
Absolutely. So one of the things that was obviously battered around about this was a tractor beam, which we haven't seen much of, but there's one of those. But they did mention a little bit again about that on the blue, so whether that transposed through to each of the models, I don't know. But that would be nice to see. Yeah,
so that's what this bit on the front of these extensions to the wings, if you will, are. These are the actual tractor modules.
Oh, okay.
And the intent is that once these are functional, then you're going to be able to operate the tractor beams from the cockpit. That'd be one of the things the co-pilot, I think, would probably be doing.
Yeah.
And you can pull cargo around, or whatever it might be, and then load it again through these lovely side doors. So that's going to really be helpful.
Rightio. So, crew complement then. This is easily a 1-person ship to start with, but obviously it does benefit from that 2 people. You could use 3, but it's really a 1 to 2 man ship, isn't it, really?
At the moment, yeah, there's really only 2 useful roles, the pilot and the turret. Now, that being said, the co-pilot does have control over, the components, power balance, shields, things like that, so it could be useful for that, for a 3rd person. In the long run, once they have more of the systems operating, like the tractor beams and such, then I think that co-pilot seat's going to become a lot more valuable. But yeah, easily 1 person can fly this ship, and you often see these being flown by solo pilots.
Rightio. Okay, so
you don't give up that much.
Very much. It's that's the other thing. The only thing we haven't discussed so far with this thing is obviously the fact it is one of the ships that does have a full working VTOL mode.
It does. So that's something that they've added back in. It was missing for a while, but you can see here the engines, the main engines rotated down into the VTOL mode. And then once you get airborne, those are going to rotate to face aft. And those are your main thrusters. And then they also have a reverse thrust mode. So you get very good VTOL, actually. And then you get good main acceleration and pretty decent retro thrust, actually.
It's
The thrusters are well balanced.
it is quite strange when you sort of get in there, you put your throttle on, and you think, well, it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. Whoa. And then you switch the VTOL around, and it is fully implemented. It does truly work.
It really does get moving once you do that.
Yeah, you sort of think, this is taking a long time to get out of atmosphere. Then you suddenly realise you haven't actually turned the engines around. And the nice thing is you can see it up on the HUD, providing you look for it, obviously.
Yeah, and again, as I said, the balance I find on this, all of the thrusters, your lateral accelerations, reverse thrust, all of that is quite good. And your roll rates are also balanced very well. Yaw, pitch, and roll are similar numbers. It rolls faster than it pitches and yaws, but not by that much. And so it becomes again very nicely balanced when you're flying, when you're fighting. That some of the ships, they'll pitch very quickly or they'll roll very quickly, but then the yaw can be really terrible, that sort of thing. This one's got a really nice balance to it.
I would tend to agree. I'm kind of biased, and I do like the ship that's sitting in my hangar. Okay, so on to the next ship, which again, strange how Drake ships need little introduction, isn't it? So we are on to the Caterpillar. So this comes in two variants. You've got your standard Caterpillar, then you've got your Pirate Caterpillar. Now, other than a paint job, I don't think there's not a loadout difference, is there? It's just a paint job that's different, isn't it?
That's correct. It's just a livery. There's really no difference at all in the ship itself. Although I do have myself the Pirate Edition. I do love that livery. It's just striking.
So this is the king of cargo, isn't it? This is the ship that people go to for moving cargo.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's already unsurpassed in the game, and even when other ships come out that are theoretically can carry more, I still think this is going to be a go-to ship for people that want to move cargo around. It's got so many advantages, and not even everything has been implemented yet into the game. Again, there's a lot of functionality that we haven't even seen yet.
Absolutely.
Already a very impressive ship.
So it's quite cheap to run as well, isn't it? It's one of those ships that's quite cheap on fuel, so that always makes it a good appealing thing, certainly for somebody that's looking to maximise their revenue from running a ship and running cargo.
For sure. And the thing I like about this ship is that it's modular. And so right now the way that it comes is you have these four main cargo modules that make up this section forward of the command and crew quarters section, and those are each an identical module basically, and altogether this will carry theoretically 576 SCUs of cargo. There is a bit of a bug right now where maybe 10 or 15 of that won't be fillable, but even with that. And then this forward module is actually designed to be either a cargo module, or it can also be used as a hangar bay. So again, you do have an ability here to put, something like a Dragonfly or a Nox or something in the front of this. Now there's no ramp, so you got to be able to fly it in from space. If we, you're going to open that up there. Right now there's no ramp capability. That is something they're planning on adding. Those doors are actually intended to animate all the way down to ground level, but right now that's not been implemented. But still, very impressive that you could actually put a couple of Dragonflies or Noxes or whatever in the front of this thing, and have that capability as well. And then, in the long run, this command module, if you will, that you fly it from over on the side here, is a detachable ship in of itself.
Okay.
So you're actually going to be able to go somewhere and leave the main ship, say in orbit, and be able to detach this other piece. And it has two massive engines for the size of this little ship, and then it also has 4 size 1 weapons on it. Not quite a lot of firepower, but at least it has some. And so you have something you can use as a lifeboat, an excursion boat, be able to go down to the planet, what have you. Yeah, look at the size of those engines compared to that little tiny module.
It's like a baby Herald.
I think it's going to be like a Herald, exactly. It's gonna cook.
Yeah, that's good. Once docking's in, they'll be able to implement that. We would hope. So the other thing is that these side modules, these side doors, they haven't fully implemented them yet because they're supposed to drop down as well, aren't they?
They are, right. So the door the lower portion that you see there is intended to actually articulate all the way down to the ground to facilitate loading cargo or crew.
Yeah.
And you can actually stuff, little ships like a Merlin into these cargo modules as well. They're quite large.
So let's head on board and start having a little look around on board, shall we?
Sure thing. Now, the one thing with this ship is that when you're on a moon or a planet, this is the only way to get in. And it's not the fastest, so you do have to keep your eyes open. Make sure that nobody's getting on there with you.
No, not mobiGlas. We want the lift button. There we go. Okay.
All right. So where would you like to start?
Let's go to the cargo module, shall we? We'll do that, and then we'll work our way back to the all the habitation and everything else. So
all right then. So
actually, we've got to go for the habitation actually to get to the cargo module. So we might as well discuss this part first.
There's two different levels, right? So we'll start with the lower level here. I'm gonna get this door to open. All right, I'm gonna go around. My door got stuck. There we are. So the ship is designed again for let's talk about crew. You can fly this solo if you want, but the real offensive capability of the ship is that it has two really nice turrets, and so you really would like to have at least one of those turrets manned. A single pilot and the forward turret manned is pretty good, and if you can get that aft turret also manned, that's good as well. So 2 or 3 is a good number for this ship. More than that right now really doesn't have a lot of value, but it's actually set up with 2 bunks in here and then 2 more in the command module. So it has long-term habitation for 4, which is pretty good.
If you stand back here, the bottom bunks jump to the top, and as you walk towards them, they drop to the bottom. So it might be a case of it's actually got 4 bunks in here and 2 in the module, potentially.
That could be interesting. It certainly looks like you'd have room for bunks in there.
I'm definitely seeing 4 bunks in here. That's for sure.
Now we talked before about the design language of these ships, and you can really see it in here. I mean, everything just looks so commercial, industrial, and again, the detail, just all these little labels and stickers and part numbers and barcodes, warning signs. It's just everywhere.
Yeah, no other ship seems to have this level of detail that the Drake ships have.
So you got your little shop sink kind of looking thing over here. Everything looks like it's made out of stainless. You got maybe a 4-burner stove there. You got different storage, and then just like things like these bundles of wires. They're just insanely detailed. All labeling on each wire, and they just run everywhere. Ship is just packed with this stuff. All right,
amazing.
We go forward from here. So this is one of the modules, and again, this is a modular ship. So the intent is long-term. You're gonna be able to actually swap these modules out for modules with different capabilities, or maybe even put together more modules, have it be longer, things like that. So it's really pretty impressive. So this is one of the cargo modules, and you can see we've got the catwalk there.
Which does open on both sides.
Yeah.
Let's open up on the other side.
You can see this very involved mechanism that opens these doors. And then if you look closely at it, you can actually see where it's got that second piston that could articulate it and actually move it all the way down to the floor.
Yep.
And I've seen that animation in some of the videos, in the development. They just haven't implemented that. So I think we're going to see that soon.
We would hope so.
Now, one of the things I really like about this ship is this catwalk. And the idea here is that when the cargo modules are full, they're full. You cannot walk through there. But you can walk along this catwalk, and so you still have full access to the entire ship. And you even have a secondary set of controls up here to open and close those doors on the sides. So it gives you, you know, all the capabilities right from here.
So that's good. So if it came to the fact you were trying to unload something, you could literally turn up and you could open that up so someone could come and just take it out with like the MPV stuff and that, really.
Right, as well, this ship also comes equipped with tractor beams on both sides. So that'd be another function too for the crew in the long term, is that there's 2 different tractor beam stations. And then as you come all the way forward here, we'll get up into that forward compartment where, again, that's a either a cargo or, as you can see, it can be storage for a couple of dragonflies easily, Noxes, that sort of thing.
EVA hatch.
Right? And then this is your forward turret. I don't know if you can see in here okay. I know it's kind of tight in here.
Yep, I can see. That's all good.
Alright, wonderful.
Got your typical Drake seat in it, which just looks like it was an afterthought with no padding.
Yeah, doesn't it though? Yeah, not built for comfort, that's for sure.
So let me jump in there quick.
Okay. So the wonderful thing about these turrets... Uh-oh. Did you get stuck?
Maybe.
Oh boy.
Oh, I managed to spawn back in the seat. Oh, there you go.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah, that wasn't ideal. Maybe we won't do that again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh well.
That was one of them moments where you see a wheel spinning and someone goes, put your hand in it, you think, yeah, this is probably not the best idea.
So, one of the problems I know that the ship has had for a while as far as the bugs is the aft turret in particular tends to get that way. You get stuck in there if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's something that's improved, but it's maybe still needs some work. By the way, the nice thing about these turrets is that there's 2 size 4 guns on there.
Okay.
Size 4s, right?
That's pretty punchy.
You could put revenants on this ship. 4 revenants. I mean, that's just amazing, the amount of firepower that you can have.
Yeah, when you want to get your cargo home, something like that is certainly appealing, isn't it?
It sure is. Now the shields is probably in the hull again, you know, maybe the weakness. It's a single size 3 shield generator, and this is not the strongest hull in the fleet, right? So let me back up a little bit, and then you should be able to get that door to go. There we go.
I've got a horrible feeling I'm going to pass through the world because everything's gone black.
I've got the same thing, so I think you'll be all right. We'll let you move forward. Oh, you know what? The other door didn't open. Now, the one thing I never understood about this section is why isn't there a ladder right here? There really needs to be a ladder.
Yeah, the front.
There really needs
definitely.
to be a ladder here to take you down into the hangar deck. Because if you're full of cargo, you have no way to get down.
100%. That's what we'll do. We'll go down the lift here. Go down the stairs again. So we'll pick up where we were.
Yeah.
At the bottom, if I can get down. And then we'll go back
now,
through.
One of
we'll
the things I'd
off.
really love to see, especially in the ship this size, is that there be an ability for you to control where the cargo gets loaded.
Okay,
that would
that's
make
a good
such a
shout.
difference.
Yeah, chuck it at the front.
Right? So you got these 2 doors here that open up, and you can see every door is really a double door because each one of these modules is separate. So it really acts as an airlock everywhere you go. And the other thing too, by the way, is that this ship is supposed to have an air shield on that hangar door in the front. So you should be able to open that, not depressurize the ship.
Got ya.
Now this is where it gets a little weird. You come in here, you're in this engineering area, and they seem to have put in a couple of different metas here as far as, you know, are these the engines? I mean, they look like engines. They look like big turbo diesel engines like you'd have on a real ocean-going ship, you know. But there's, you know, they're not the normal power plant, right, type of thing that you'd expect to see. So it's really kind of odd. But look at this engineering console. Oh my God! Look at all these screens. Now you can connect to this thing right now, but it doesn't actually do anything. That being said, again, I think in the future the roles that you're going to have in this ship is really going to expand as the capabilities do.
And even if those are just monitoring cameras for the cargo bay, that's,
right?
You know, that's still a lot.
Yeah, what is that? 7 screens. That's just amazing.
Yeah.
And then there is a ladder here that you can use to get to the upper level. This is the aft lower turret. Again, 2 size 4 guns on a nice turret. And again, as you're going through, you can just see there's labels and stickers and warning signs on everything. All right, and then this is one of the best views in the fleet. This is just, I just love flying right in this section, just being a passenger, just coming up here and flying around. It's just wonderful.
So is this supposed to just be an observation deck? Is that its sole purpose?
No, this is actually the starboard side tractor beam.
Okay.
So where this gentleman here is on the console, that's the tractor console. That's where you're going to be able to operate the tractor beam on this side of the ship.
Got ya. Okay, so that makes sense.
And then if we go straight across, we will enter the command module. Now you'll really see the airlock here because there's actually a connecting tunnel. And you'll see here that there are 2 supporting seats in the back with their own consoles. And then you also have the pilot and co-pilot seat up in the front here. So again, a tremendous amount of capability and quite good visibility here. It's surprising for a ship that's got the cockpit off to the side and such a big ship that you really have quite a good view here.
It does feel very Millennium Falky though.
Doesn't it though?
It's very, yeah. I suppose even in some regards the seats kind of do resemble them a little bit as well. It is certainly some fighter pilot Star Warsy kind of influences here in this cockpit for sure.
And again, just a crazy amount of detail. If you look at, you know, the seat and the control yoke, all those little buttons, and even the rudder pedals, you know, it's got Drake on it, and just the seat rails that, you know, you could actually see that seat adjusting forward and backward, and just, I mean, just endless amount of detail here. Oxygen tubes, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. It's amazing.
Okay.
All right, and then the other fun part about this side is that you have this ladder back here, and you jump on this ladder, climb down, and then I'm going to go off to the side. If you go to the left, however, you'll see that there's actually a weapons rack there at the bottom of the ladder to your left. And then you come over in here, and you're in the second crew quarters. And this again has a sink and a stove and 2 bunks and just everything. It's just, you know, a bathroom, a shower, everything. It's a very impressive little ship attached to the big ship.
It's got all the bits that they forgot to include in the Cutlass.
It does, doesn't it?
And there's a door on the side here.
There is, and that door right now does not function, but when the ship is operable as a separate ship, that'll actually be an airlock that you can use to get in and out. I'm not sure if that's going to be a docking collar, but it certainly is an airlock. And then down the bottom here, we have the second tractor beam station. This is the port side. And you can see where it lines up beautifully with all the cargo doors. Yep, there we go.
Was there a control to do it from here, was there?
I didn't do that, but I'm glad it was good timing.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant timing.
So you can see where the tractor beam operator here can easily see all the loading doors, and be able to pull that cargo over and stage it up for the cargo master to put on board.
Absolutely. Okay, so back up and out of this area here.
And again, that just this raw industrial feel, like you can see the insulation here. There's no covering panels, there's so many, wires and pipes and such sticking out. It just feels so real. It gives it a character that some of the other ships I feel are missing. Now, you thought we were done. But no, because we got this whole other upper engineering space here. And in here, we have the server room. You have all these racks of server components and, again, this sick amount of detail. And then some sort of a component cabinet on this side. Not sure which component that would be exactly. Then you come in here and you have another component room for whatever suits your fancy. I think this is really where the power plant is supposed to go. And then we can go forward from that. And there's a third room. And again, additional components. You can see component housing, and it's got the control console and such. So, your shields, your coolers, that sort of thing will all get loaded up into here. And then we end up back at that ladder. So if you go down that ladder, we're going to be in that lower engineering space we started out in earlier.
There we go. I wasn't sure he was going to go on the ladder then. I didn't think he was going to...
Yeah, it looked quite glitchy on my side, but then it finally got get in there. And here we are. So it's very easy to get lost in this ship. Newbies getting on this ship... they have an awful time just finding the cockpit.
Yeah, it's one of them where when I first got on here and you're like running around and it's like, oh, hang on, which way do I need to go? Oh yeah, oh, no, not that way, it's this way. So yeah, but you say it's pretty easy to get lost on it, and it is like a little bit of a rabbit warren in some regards, because little corridors here and there, and you don't expect it from the outside. It doesn't look like it's got all of that like corridor network on it.
No, you would think it'd be incredibly simple, but it's not. Right, just look at this turret. My God, look at the size of these guns. Just wonderful that it comes equipped with weapons of this size. Really does make it effective. For defensive purposes, if you're being attacked by, Nine Tails, a bunch of fighters, whatnot, come up and try to attack you. You've got a pretty strong defense here. So
yeah, and you got really a 360-degree rotation, plus you can look obviously all the way down, as it were, unobstructed view. So you do really have some good underbelly defensive capabilities, much like you've got the same at the top with the top front turret. You really can sort of defend yourself. And if you are trying to get away from somebody and you're trying to get out of atmosphere, the most likely thing is they're going to be chasing you, so this has really got the ability to kind of fend them off while trying to get away into a quantum jump.
Yeah, there is a bit of a blind spot in the back here. If you get close enough where, you got all these main engines and such sticking out here, and that can be a bit of a blind spot. So, a good pilot's going to get in close and right up behind it, because then you're gonna be in that spot where those guns can't quite reach you, right? So if you tuck right up in here, about 500 meters off the back of the ship, you can just take your time taking the engines out. So a good pilot is going to be maneuvering around, try to give an angle to his turret gunners that try to alleviate that blind spot,
Okay, for sure.
And these main engines, by the way, on the sides here that look like they're VTOLs, they are not. I don't know why Drake chose to use what look like VTOL mounts, but these are not VTOL engines.
They do look like they should be VTOLs, don't they, with those kind of rotating couplings on them?
Yep. That certainly is a VTOL type mount, but it is not a VTOL engine. Now you can see here, these are the types of engines that have the thrust reverse capability built right in, so the engine provides the reverse thrust as well. And it's adequate. It's not exceptional. As you can imagine, the ship rolls much better than it pitches in Jaws, just because of the length.
Yeah, for sure. It's it's one of those where it's certainly long in the nose, like you say. So, crew complement then. We've already said you can have one person for this ship. It does seem to be the favoured one to solo and move your cargo around, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but as I said earlier, second person in this ship can mean all the difference. If you're being attacked, have them man that forward turret, and it really can help you get out of that situation. Whereas if you're solo, if they snare you with a mantis or something, you're pretty well done. So if you got somebody on that forward gun, that's going to make a huge difference, because that size 4's got some range. And a mantis isn't going to stand up very long against that. And, if it's buccaneers or cutlasses or whatever that are attacking this thing, they're going to be cautious of those guns. So I really do like to operate this with 2 people. Yeah. And what's very effective, actually, is to have the owner of the ship not fly it. Because he can jump in and out of it very quickly to buy and sell the cargo.
Yeah.
Leave the pilot in the pilot seat. And your turnaround times will be a lot quicker. And then, make a good deal with whoever your favorite crew person is that's serving with you, and you both make some good money very quickly.
So, in the short term, looking at this ship, this isn't a beginner ship. It isn't really something that, the first person they're going to go get to. But what it is a great start-off multi-crew ship. And in the longer term, looking at the size of it, etc., you really could multi-crew this with a group of friends. And when you're looking at long cargo hauls and such like, and you look like you're going to be rotating pilots and all this sort of stuff, there's certainly some game mechanics in this ship that really does appeal, with the fact that there's multiple beds to log out in, so that you could, basically just keep this ship out there burning away and earning money. So,
yeah, this can definitely do a lot of long-range operations for sure. And I also see, as a Kraken owner, I think this is going to be the ideal type of ship to bring the cargo to and from something like a Kraken or a merchantman or something like that.
Definitely.
And that's all it's about right now is cargo. But again, those are modular sections there that in the long run they're saying you're going to be able to put in. Maybe it'll be a science station or something else that you could put in there.
That really does change the ship up quite substantially as to what you could choose to do with it. If they made it so there was a hangar module rather than a cargo module in the side,
right?
Admittedly, there's very few ships that will go in there, but they might be able to make it so there's, say, a vehicle module. So like those new little cars they've got might fit in this with the ramps, if they were to go down as a ramp rather than as a loading tray. It all depends on what they're going to do with the ramps themselves and the modular parts when they come to implement them.
Yeah, one nice trick that we use actually right now just to experiment with it is on the other side would work better because you don't have the catwalk in the way, but the way that these fold down, they're nice and flat, and you could actually just nudge this thing right up against a hill on the surface of a moon, say.
Yep.
And makes it real easy to load and unload vehicles from it.
Very nice, very nice. So the other interesting thing about this is with how much it offers to the game in gameplay, and you can actually buy this in game right now. You don't have to go and pay for it out of the shop. You can go down and buy it in game. Don't get me wrong, it's not the cheapest thing to buy, but you can still buy it in game.
Do you know what that price is, Peanut, at this moment? I know they changed it a few times.
Because you can buy it down at Teachers.
Right.
It's the only place you can buy it. They don't have it on display, which I find quite frustrating. The fact it's not on display. All the other ships are on display, but that one isn't. And but yeah, so I think it's certainly one of those kind of ones that you could ultimately, grind for, as it were. And if there is a captain out there that's got one, and you're going to team up with them, it's not totally beyond the realms of possibility you could end up getting enough in-game currency to get this. And certainly with the fact we've got persistence in the game now.
Well, just doing a quick check on the internet here, I'm seeing a price of 4,686,000, which again is a significant amount of money, but certainly not out of range. It can be done.
For sure, absolutely. Okay, so let's move on to our next ship then. So we're going to be back at the Cutlasses. We're now looking at the Cutlass Red.
The Cutlass Red, I am so impressed with what they've done with this ship. So this is very similar in a lot of ways to the Cutlass Black. You'll see the same VTOL engines, the same basic loadout. I'm sorry, not loadout, but as far as the hard points, that sort of thing. It's got the tractor beams, you got the wing-mounted weapons here on gimbals. They're different loadout, but you can put the same things on here, you know. Now where you start seeing some differences is when you come around to the side here, and you'll notice that you have docking collars. And these are actually extensible. I don't know if we can operate them here, but we can give it a try. Yeah, so you can see here that it'll rotate around and close up and seal up, and the idea is that when that opens up, you've actually got space in there where you could go in that outer door, close that, pressurize, open the inner door. So that's a proper airlock,
Which is great, so you don't end up decompressurizing the main chamber.
and then you'll also see that difference in the back of the ship, because the same ramp, which is wonderful. Now we have a lot less cargo capability here because they've split up the cargo area into two different sections. So you can put your cargo, a couple of small vehicles, whatnot back here. But then you have an airlock here. You come through the airlock and now you're into what makes this the medical ship. 2 medical beds. These are tier 2 or 3, I forget. But the real advantage is that you can come up to this console and you can push this button right on this, and you could set that as your preferred ICU. So if you get killed in game, you'd actually respawn right in these beds.
Which is always very nice.
Then they've used the space here where we're talking about having the head in the other ship. They put a couple of bunk beds in here. So now you're up to 4 beds. And then if you come forward, yes, you still do have the other 2 up here. So you actually have room in here for 6 people to stay on the ship long term. And they've even addressed the bathroom situation. Instead of a turret, this one actually uses that space for a bathroom. And there is actually a remote scanning turret that's attached to the top, but you control that from the pilot seat.
In this particular variant, I find that does work, but it is the only variant where it does really work, you know, because you do need the turret on the other 2 variants for sure.
Right. Well, again, that's why I say like something like the way that Constellation has that little closet-sized combination, you know,
Yes.
head, shower. That's a very small unit. I don't see why you couldn't put one of those, you know, where the bunk beds are on the other side of this. But anywho,
Absolutely.
this ship is basically about as fast and maneuverable. The shields, the hull, everything is very comparable to a Black. The difference in the loadout is, of course, that the upper turret is a scanning turret, so there's no weapons there. So you just have the 4 size 3 hardpoints on this ship. You don't have the additional size 3 guns on the turret.
Okay, got you. So the view out the cockpit is pretty much the same, but it does have nice flashing blue and red LED lights on it, which is nice to see.
The lights are so impressive, and this has a spotlight that is just unbelievably good. Very powerful. It's actually attached to that turret. And let me see if I can power this up. I don't know if I can, but I'll give it a try. And see if it's possible to turn those lights on. No? Doesn't look like it's working. That's too
a real
bad.
shame.
Yep, we'll have to pull one out because I can't get this one to fully power up and light the lights. It's very impressive, the outside of this, when the lights are all running.
Let's see if we can rent one, and if we get the time, then maybe we'll. I've already got one of those rented, so that's good. Maybe we'll try and
So
take
here's a
this
ship
out.
that, again, a solo pilot can take this ship out, or a small crew, and you can go do package missions. You can do cargo, but not as much. You certainly could do, same kind of bunker missions. Carry a few assault troops on it, and having that built-in two-bed ICU, two-bunk ICU, is really a huge advantage, because if your guys do get killed, well, they just spawn right there in the beds, and they're right back into the battle in no time.
Absolutely. So there's only a few other ships in the game that has that capability, and one of those being obviously the Carrack, which is a substantially more of a ship than this is, obviously. Well, that's interesting. The doors have rotated now, so they're now aimed upwards. The hatch is opening upwards on this side now. It was opening sideways earlier. It's intriguing.
Oh, because it's not extended out, that's why. When it extends out, the whole section rotates.
Ah, that makes sense.
So right now the door is open, but the airlock itself is not.
It's closed. Got ya.
Yeah.
Rightio. Okay, so that about covers off the red, I believe. So let's move on to, dare we say, the brother, the sister ship, the blue. Now, this is where it changes a little bit, because obviously this is the police vehicle.
Yeah, this has got some significant differences. The first being that this ship comes equipped not only with the very strong loadout of weapons, but it also has a quantum dampener. So you can't pull ships out of quantum with this, but if you've got a ship, you can keep it from going into quantum. And this also has very impressive lights on it. They're blue on this one, and being more the police type of thing, and get some reds on it as well, I see. Also some nice spotlights and landing lights and such. So it's, you see this thing pull up behind you, it's literally like you're getting pulled over by the cops. And then of course you've got your tractor beams as well. It's got that, it's this guns and the turret and all that. But again, instead of the big open doors that you see on the side of the black, this has the airlocks. And again, these can be used for ship-to-ship docking. So, got a very versatile capability there. And then the same thing in the back here. We come around, we've got the ramp. And we're going to go inside. We're going to see that we also have the airlock door like the red has. But this is where it gets very different, because instead of medical bays, we have prisoner stasis modules. 12 of them. They're intended to go out and catch a bunch of bad guys in this thing. Or, conversely, you could be the bad guy and capturing the good guys. This is like Han Solo's nightmare to see these things. So, 12 prisoners. Then, this one has this sort of different looking component here. There's no bunks in this one. Did I lose you, Peanut?
Yep, my microphone decided to stop working for a bit then. So we were discussing the other day about the prison pods that are in the Titan. And
Yes.
obviously there are different styles to these. They're a lot bigger. These are kind of like cryostasis kind of looking modules, whereas those look like prison cells that you chuck someone in, you know?
Yeah, I was saying these are like Han Solo's worst nightmare to see these things. You could see where it's kind of like a headset thing in there that sort of reminds me of, yeah. The name just escaped me. What's a movie where they, Future Crime, and anyway, they had those
Demolition
headsets.
Man.
No,
Demolition
not
Man,
that
where he puts him
one.
in cryostasis? No?
Yeah, but that's not the one I was thinking about. Tom Cruise, where the pre-crime division. They could see the
Minority Report.
Minority Report. Yeah. And they put those little headsets on you, and once they did that, you lost all your will, basically, and they put you in a module like this, and off you go.
Oh, yeah, so...
And if you remember the prison, it was just a whole bunch of these things, and they could move them around and whatnot, but, yeah.
So, we're back to the void, so there's no void in this one here. So there's a void here, there's no bed, no toilet, nothing here.
No, nothing. And then we come forward, you'll see this has the same problem because this is a turret in this one. So again, no head whatsoever. So you have to just go in your suit, I suppose. There's really no other option.
That'll do. Yep, so you got the double bed again. And this is one of the areas where it does change for the Cutlass, is that this cockpit has a domed cockpit on it with no struts through the middle of it, which is quite nice.
Yeah, this is new on the Blues, and it really is a beautiful view that you get here now. Because, as you say, it's basically unobstructed. You're in this bubble canopy that, for the most part, you don't see any struts at all. And I do love the way these seats go up. I got in the back seat there behind you, Peanut, and when it goes all the way up, I'm a little bit above you, and you're not in my way at all. I can't even hardly see you.
Just like a pillion on a motorbike.
Right.
Just stuck right up out the way.
And again, this beautiful design language just looks so wonderfully raw, like where you can see the insulation and the wires and all this sort of thing. Just all the bits are just hanging out in this one.
Hello and welcome aboard.
Beautifully done.
I appear to be stuck in the cockpit.
Oh no. In the seat or just the door?
I seem to be stuck in the seat, which is really helpful.
Oh no.
There we go. It's moved.
Perfect.
It was just taking its time.
Yep. Little desync action there, maybe.
Not sure.
Again, you could see where, you could have some cargo, some packages, Marines, whatever you felt like putting back here.
Yep, so no seats in
Nice
this version.
Ramp. Nope, no seats in this one.
Okay, right. Next on the list then is the Herald.
The Herald.
So basically
Herald,
an engine with a seat strapped to the front of it.
2 engines, actually.
Yeah.
One large and one very large. This is the fastest thing in a straight line in terms of raw acceleration that you will find in the game. This very ugly looking ship. Sorry, but it is.
That's a great point, Rusty, about the screens compared to Nerd Show. Yeah, very much so. So, go ahead.
So the purpose of this ship is eventually that you're going to load up these data modules. That's really what it's about. This thing's about going out, intercepting, storing, transporting data. So we'll go ahead and get in and you'll see what it looks like. Oops, how did that happen?
You have to open the door first. You'd have to open the door and leave the door open and then get in. It doesn't let you in if you select enter ship, by the way.
I was just trying to select something and I'm going into Moby-Glass. Can you do it?
Yep, give it a minute.
It's kind of blinking on me and I keep ending up hitting Moby-Glass. So you can see the primary weapon on this ship is going to be this Gatling gun on the nose here. I believe that's a size 2. It also has these little itty bitty size ones on the snubs of the wings. Not much to get excited about in terms of weaponry. It's a pretty tough hull. It's for a Drake ship. It can take a bit of a pounding. But look
There you
at the
go.
size of these engines compared to the size of the ship. I mean, this thing is
Yeah.
really like a show rocket dragster or something that you'd see
Yeah,
at a
very.
racetrack, where it just accelerates in a straight line so insanely fast.
It's like the VMAX of Star Citizen. That's what it is.
Yep, there you go. And you have this horribly awkward ladder. You come in here and you'll see that there is one seat there for the data operator, whatever his
Okay,
job
if you
is.
just
You
bear
got the
with
seat
me, I'm
up
just
here
going to
for
join
the
you.
pilot, and then okay. So can you get in, or am I on your way?
No, give me a minute. I'm just going to join you.
All right then. It
Or
looked
not.
like you were in, and now I do not see you, and the door closed.
Yep. It doesn't want to let me in the ship, which is really nice of it.
I keep seeing you arrive and then vanish.
Yeah. One more go. We'll give it another quick bash. No, he doesn't want to get in. He's not having none of it.
Oh my goodness.
Let's have a go. Hang on. One more show. Oh, there we go. I'm in.
Yay!
Hey, there we go. Sorted. Right, we'll start at the back then, shall we?
Yeah, that'll work. So you can see we got a couple of bunks back here, and unlike the Cutlass, they've actually got a head over here. Look at that. Doesn't have to be that big, right?
Yeah, that's it.
There's a sink on this side, and then there's a toilet there, and pretty basic. But hey, it's better than nothing, right?
Correct.
And you got this very sophisticated-looking console here for the data operator. Very tight quarters here. Lots and lots of racks of server components and such. You got a weapons rack, and then you come
Again,
forward and you've got the pilot seat.
Again, an immense amount of detail to the ship.
Just insane. So let me see if I can get past you there when you can hop in that seat and check out that view. It's actually pretty good. Now that one doesn't elevate like the Cutlass does, but it doesn't really need to because of the way that that's positioned in the canopy there. It really has a very kind of a similar feel, doesn't it?
I'm currently looking at you. I haven't rotated round as it's gone in. Oh, there we go. There we go. It moved. There we go. It does seem to be a little bit of lag on the servers, which is a little bit problematic, but there we go.
Hello and welcome aboard.
So if you like taking people up and making them space sick or passing out altogether, this is the one to do it in.
Yep.
I have so much fun taking passengers in this one and just literally having them black out on me.
This is one of those ships that, like you say, it's not a question of if, more a question of when you black out with this thing.
Yep. Get in this thing, turn off G-Safe, turn on Afterburner, and just prepare to go to sleep.
Yep.
Uh-oh. You look like you're glitching to me.
It's all right. I think it's just going to take a moment. It took a moment to get into the seat. We'll be
Right.
patient. We'll test it and trust it, as it were, to not throw us through the bottom of the planet.
That would be nice.
Yes, wouldn't it just? Oh, he's moving a little bit. There we go. Pacing himself. He's pacing himself. That's what it is.
I mean, I'm just looking at some of the things that are on these consoles, Authorized technicians, improper handling could result in injury or death. Like just all sorts of detail like that. Just everywhere. Just everything has got massive amounts of detail in it. And again,
powered
with
up
the
as
Drake
well,
ships,
which
you
is
can
quite
really
nice.
see it all because it's all just exposed. You can see, the ventilation ducts up here with labels on which direction they go and all the wear, and just beautiful.
So
Star
much
Citizen
detail.
to me is a bit frustrating sometimes in terms of some of these mechanics that we've seen, where it doesn't quite work the way it should. But you
Yep.
talk about the detail of the content. There is just nothing like this.
Absolutely. Okay.
Let alone on the scale.
Didn't think my man was going to get out for a minute, but yep, I got out.
All
I opened the
right.
door. I opened the door first, and then select to get out. But it let me out.
Well, exit ship for me works straight out.
Yep.
So-
Well, that's good. So,
Yep.
weaponry then. So we got a little bit of a what's this?
I believe that's a size 2 gimbaled ballistic cannon, the GT215, I believe that would be. And then a couple of size 1s on the little snubs of the wings, and that's all she wrote.
But the idea is it's not meant
Very
to fight.
little.
It's meant to outrun stuff, isn't it?
Yep. One of the tougher ships, if you will, as far as a Drake is concerned. It's really meant to survive and get away. That's about it.
And it's a game you don't really see a great deal of in the verse these days because it doesn't really have a place at the moment because the game mechanic isn't there for it, is it really?
No.
So,
This is a very purpose-built ship. It's a data runner. That's literally all it can do.
yep.
And since that mechanic doesn't exist in the game, it has no purpose. Bottom
So-
line.
1 to 2 people, but not really any place for it in the game at the moment, other than unless you want to make someone like blackout or throw up.
That's about it.
That's about it. So it's a roller coaster for now.
Yeah.
Okay, so next on the list is the Buccaneer, one of the favoured
Oh,
ships of the pirates.
The Buccaneer. My love-hate relationship with the Buccaneer. And honestly, at this point, it's probably a little more on the hate side.
Okay.
This is your just atypical glass cannon. This is the meaning of the word right here. This is a very fast, maneuverable fighter ship that's got a decent amount of weaponry on it. It's a single pilot ship, and it's dedicated fighter. That's what it's for. And it's very good at all those things, but it's so easy to take it down.
So is that fixable by component swap out, or no matter what you do, the hull is just so thin?
Yeah, the hull is very thin. There's really not a lot of opportunity to upgrade this. I believe it's a single shield generator, and you can just beef this up all you want. It's really not going to make much of a difference. I mean, you can see here in terms of weapons, you got the inner and the outer guns here on the wings. You've got the turret. All of this is pilot controlled. It puts out a good beating. But there's really just not a lot of room for components to be able to upgrade it. It's a couple of fairly large engines carrying around a bunch of guns and a pilot. So, you might say, well, good pilot, go in there, be very heavy on the attack. You got nice visibility in the cockpit, all that good stuff. But there's better ships that are better balanced, I would say, than this. And it's really a ship that, maybe in its day was pretty good, but it feels pretty obsolete right now.
So this is kind of the other end of the stick when you look at something like the Gladius. This is kind of the complete polar opposite, really.
Yeah. It's not as maneuverable, it's not as tough, it's, yeah.
The interesting thing is it does fit into the Carrack's hangar. If you turn it 45 degrees, you can put it into the Carrack's hangar. So it does have its place, that it does give you the opportunity to take a small fighter with you in a Carrack. Whereas all the other fighters are too big. They won't fit. So I think this is the only fighter, because like the Gladius and that won't fit. But this will squeeze in at 45 degrees. So it certainly does have a bonus in that perspective, because a fighter is better than no fighter.
And I stand corrected, it is 2 shield generators, but they're small.
Okay.
And that's really the problem, is that they just aren't powerful enough. It also does not have a great amount of range. It has 1 small fuel tank, 1 small quantum drive, 1 small quantum fuel tank. So it's not going to go very far either.
Short range fighter. So what's the weaponry we've got on the top then?
All right, so we got 2 size 3, I believe it is, weapons up there. The tarantulas is what it comes stock with, and then you've got 4 size 2 missiles, and then you've got the main weapons, which is going to be it's a size 3 mount with a gimbal, be a size 2 gun, and then you've also got the size 1s, which now allow you to also have a gimbal. Even though it's a size 1 mount, you can put a size 1 gimbal on there, and then a size 1 gun on that. So that's what the outer ones are. So
again, another ship that's purchasable in game, so that's good.
Yes.
They're not that expensive actually, to be fair, to buy down in Teachers, so certainly something again you could pick up pretty easily without any outlay. And I do a little starter fighter ship, but if you had a choice between that and the Gladius wins every day.
Or even a Cutlass, I would argue, because while a Cutlass isn't going to be quite as strong offensively, it's better in every other way.
This is a good shout. This is a good shout. Okay, so moving on now from the Buccaneer, we're heading to the next section, the next display hall. Straight ahead of us, you will see.
And again, look at the beautiful job they've done laying out this show. Right, you got this nice quiet section you can come into here, where you got all your merchandise, your brochures. And then this beautiful area in the back here with this nicely lit seating, and look at this display for the Dragonfly. That's just impressive.
Does look really nice, doesn't it? Does look really nice.
So the Dragonfly, the Star Wars speeder bike that I want to love, but just can't quite get there yet. They have made improvements. It's coming along. As you can see, this is a hover ship, and this can actually also be flown in space because it does have thrusters, and you can do that as well with it. The disadvantage that I see with this is that it's so god-awful slow. This is something that should just be insanely fast, and it isn't.
So if you look at it alongside things like the Nox, now the Nox is pretty quick, isn't it? But
it is.
This handles better than the Nox, I think.
It doesn't. Yeah, I would agree with that. And you know, having these 2 little, I guess, size 1 guns on this is nice. And you know, this again, you can fly this in space. It's a maneuverable little thing in space. But I just really feel like they've nerfed the speed too much. I think it needs to have more top speed.
Yeah, it is certainly more a landside vehicle, because obviously you've got no quantum. You couldn't quantum when you're open to the elements, etc. You know, it's just not physically possible. So the fact that it manoeuvres in space, the best thing you could hope for is ship-to-ship movement is about the best you could hope, really. Other than that, you're not really going to... bouncing around the rings of Olisar, that's about your lot.
And that's really the problem again with it right now, is that it really just has no purpose in the game, which is unfortunate. Again, I have hopes long term. I mean, On the positive side, again, this is just the sexiest looking thing. This just has so much potential for having fun. You got the 2 seats. It's very much set up like a motorcycle. I believe you can carry a incrementally tiny amount of cargo back here. Fly it on surface with the repulsors, or you can fly it in space with the little itty bitty thrusters. It could be great fun, especially when there's more mechanics for it, and hopefully they'll bump up the speed a little bit.
Absolutely. Okay, and moving on then. So now, next up is the Vulture.
Now we're getting into some fun stuff.
So this is a ship that's been around in sort of word and concept and artwork for quite some time, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I don't know how many years it is now. So this is your flying space dock, if you will. And one of the things that I love about the way it's laid out is with these 2 arms up in the front here, and then you can see the way the cockpit is in the center and above those, where you just are going to have a great view of what you're doing to maneuver up to, another ship, and just the lay of this thing is just makes sense,
Absolutely. It just looks nice. Again, it looks like it's got a rear loading ramp on it.
Yeah, I think it does. Little one, but it does have a ramp. And they call it a salvage vessel, but I wonder again, as far as being able to do repairs or something with it. It'll be interesting to see what kind of actual mechanics we end up with. But again, the idea is you come up and grab whatever it is with those arms, and then you'll be able to work on it from there. Not sure this one is going to have any drone capabilities. Thinking not. It does have 2 tractor beams, and it does have 2 size 1 guns. That's it.
Wow.
So,
okay,
not much firepower.
No, definitely not. But it's about salvage
Again, 2
and about
small
repair,
shield
isn't it?
generators. Don't send this out on its own, okay?
Absolutely. And then on next to the Corsair.
Oh, now we're gonna have some fun.
Now this just looks so much fun.
Oh.
I'll describe it as a Cutlass Black on steroids. It just... When I first saw this ship, I actually hated it. I really didn't like the asymmetrical wings. Just didn't like it at all. I would have preferred the wings to have been level, but over time it really has grown on me, and I really do like this, and I like the way it looks like it's going to go. It's entry level multi-crew mini org ship, I guess. This is not a starter ship, I guess, kind of maybe a 2nd tier ship or a 3rd tier ship.
Oh yeah, that's certainly, yeah. This is, I think you've got it right. This is going to be what the next step up from a Black or a Cutlass, I guess, in general. This is going to have everything that maybe you'd find as a shortcoming in the Black. They seem to have addressed it with this. It's just such an impressive ship, and again, I think is a very good value. You're getting to the next tier of cost, but oh my goodness, what this thing is going to be able to do. You're talking here about a ship that, from a crew perspective, it's really going to get into what capabilities are actually been implemented in this ship, okay? Because this is going to have some capability to run data. This is going to have some hidden compartments in it for smuggling and defense and that sort of thing. It's going to have quite a lot of computer capability. Could have some good scanning capability. There's a lot of different things that this ship could potentially do. And it also has quite a lot of firepower.
Yeah.
This is really going to make up a lot where, maybe the Cutlass is moderately powerful. This is quite powerful. So,
Yes.
yeah, just to kind of run down through, let me see if I can pull up the spec here. I don't get this wrong, but
so you've got a rear-facing turret, you've got 2 side turrets, and then you've got an entire barrage of guns controlled by the pilot himself.
Yep. So there's 4 size 5 mounts with they're actually gimbal weapons on it right now. So size 4s, and then in addition 2 more size 4 mounts with size 3 gimbals on those. So and that's all the primary weapons. I mean, so that's amazing to have that capability. And then yeah, the turrets, the remote turret in the rear, and that's size 2s, and then the 2 side turrets, which are also size 2s. And honestly, I think that's the one thing that's maybe a little disappointing. All the firepower is up here in the front facing forward. So sides and back is really those size 2s. So it's a lot more in defensive weaponry, which have been unfortunate. You've also got these size 4 missiles, which is very nice. So I'm sorry, size 3 missiles. You got a reasonable amount of missile capability as well. So again, forward firepower in this thing is surprisingly good.
Yeah, very.
But those side turrets, I don't know, they're gonna have some blind spots, and they don't seem to be the kind that at least currently extend out and give you the visibility above and below like you might want to have. Another thing I get a lot is that this on the side of the end of the wing here, that is not a gun. Everybody thinks that's a gun, but that is not a gun.
What is it?
I don't know. Some sort of antenna or something, but yeah, that's
interesting.
Not a gun.
Okay, we'll see how that
at
plays
least
out.
In the current iteration, yeah, we'll see what happens. Now, another wonderful thing with this ramp on this thing is the ramp on this thing is actually surprisingly large. And this is a ship that is designed that you can put an Ursa in this with no problem at all.
Okay, that's good.
So that's a good size cargo/vehicle bay that you've got in the back there. And let's see, what's the cargo capacity? 72 SCUs. So again, step up from your Cutlass. Even the black is 46 again. This is 72. That's a reasonable amount of cargo for a ship of this size.
Yeah, it's not obviously as much as the like the Freelancer Max and things like that, but it got so much more with it, compared to say a Freelancer Max.
So again, I think this is probably going to end up being one of those 1 or 2 player ships, but it could go up to maybe 4.
Yep.
Depending on what happens with the data roll and the turrets and so forth. But and it's going to have some range. It's got some speed, so you're going to be able to do quite a lot with this in terms of exploration, trading, data running, whatever.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see this thing come to fruition and actually hit the verse. So I'm really keen to start looking at this. Should be a really good ship.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and then last but not least, onto the King of the Hill.
Oh my goodness.
There was a number of us were hoping that they were going to do what they did a few years back with the Idris and put it in kind of a dry dock scenario so you could actually see it with it being down here. But unfortunately not. But we do have the next best thing. We have probably one of the biggest holograms that they've actually done for the show, and it is the Kraken, the aircraft carrier.
Goodness. Yes, indeed.
What a ship.
This ship is my dream. I own one of these. I cannot wait till it's in game, and I'm just envisioning having my own little fleet unit flying around with this. And my goodness, the capabilities that you've got in here. So Starting on this side, you can see that we have 2 medium-sized hangar bays. And those are repair, refuel, and the owner can even spawn ships on a Kraken. Very, very impressive. Above that, you'll see there are actually 4 small pads where you can land any small-sized ship. So you're going to be able to have your fighter complement or what have you that's flying along with this actually be able to land here as well and get serviced and so forth. Very, very impressive. They call this a pocket carrier. So you've got the 2 medium-sized ships on this side plus 4 small, and then you come around to this side and there's another much larger upper deck here, and that will hold 2 medium-sized ships, or potentially 1 large one. It looks like maybe a Caterpillar could land on there, so that could really get interesting. But theoretically, 4 medium and 4 small ships can all be stored on this ship, and then this ship, when it goes into quantum drive, will take all of that along with it.
I was really hoping I was going to be able to maneuver the cameras so I can look above the ship, but it seems like they've made it so that you're not able to do such a feat, which is a shame really, because I was hoping to be able to get a kind of a downward looking view.
I was able to go into director mode and then hit the longitude control. So go third person, director mode, longitude, and then I just go up and then hold Z, and you can maneuver the camera so that it's pointing more downward. It's maybe a 45-degree angle, but you can certainly see the top of the ship this way.
Yeah, it's not liking that, which is a real shame.
Well, I'll try to capture some additional footage for you here.
I've managed to zoom out so I'm able to actually look on top of the ship. There we go, so I can now see all 4 of the pads above the ship.
There we go.
And the big pad. So we're doing some workings out, and it looks like you can probably land a mole and probably a cat on top of this at the same time, a couple of moles and a cat, which really makes it greatly appealing. I don't know if you're going to be able to spawn a mole on it, because obviously in theory it has to be spawned in the hangar, so we'll see how that plays out, as it were. But yes.
Then in the back, and it's kind of hard to visualize, but if you think about where the flight decks are, that island section in the middle there, the top of that is where the bridge is. And then behind that is an engineering space, and then you'll see it slopes down. And that section in the aft there, where after it slopes down, that's actually another hangar bay for dragonflies.
Oh, right, okay.
So it actually has a dedicated dragonfly bay where you'll be able to store, repair, rearm, refuel, what have you, dragonflies.
Nice.
And then along the bottom is really where all the cargo holds are. And when I say all the cargo holds, we're not kidding around with this ship. So let me go back. I need to look at the number again, because it's the number is so big that I just I blank on it. It's that big. We are talking 3,792 SCUs of cargo capability.
Which is
now again, the Caterpillar is huge, and it's 576.
Yeah.
This is many times that.
Which for me makes we've been discussing about making this an outpost type ship that you would go to with your mole. So you go out somewhere, you go mining, return the goods to the Kraken, go back out again, and then from that you say load up your Caterpillar. Your Caterpillar then goes off and takes the goods back, and another Caterpillar comes up and lands on the pad. You could really use this as a transfer station like that, and then if anything does go wrong, you've got some firepower with you to protect you. Because if those hangars of decent size, you are going to be able to get different ships in there. You're potentially going to be able to get some Gladiuses in there and such like. So you could ultimately
Right.
have 4 Gladiuses with you to hand, as well as obviously the firepower that this thing's going to kick out. Plus, if you were to put other things on the pads as well, this could really look after your miners when you're out there, together.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. This is a ship that you could build any number of different types of fleets to go along with it that make it very, very versatile. So one final point on the cargo. The ship has so much cargo capability that it actually has a train on board to move the cargo from where you offload it from the deck along through the different cargo modules and be able to store it. It actually has its own train just for that purpose.
Wow, that is
Now,
one heck.
Right? How many ships here do you say have their own train aboard?
And train aboard, yeah. Wow.
Right?
That's going to be interesting.
Yes, this also has, as you were saying, a decent amount of firepower, but I think of this as being the core of a fleet that would be very similar to like a naval aircraft carrier operates.
Yep.
It can defend itself, but ideally, you don't ever want it to even get into a battle.
No, you want the
That being
ships that will
said,
to protect it.
Yeah. But that being said, you do have some size 8 man turrets, 2 of them. You also have 4 size 6 dual turrets and 4 size 5 dual turrets. That's quite a lot of firepower, and it's going to be pretty good at defending itself with that. It's also got 2 capital-sized shield generators, which is quite impressive. But again, it's a Drake hull. It's not going to be the strongest hull, so if those shields go down, you're pretty much done. That being said, with the amount of firepower that you can carry on board this thing in terms of fighters and support ships and so forth, and I could easily see this in a fleet with say a Polaris as maybe a point ship, and use that as your submarine, if you will, for torpedo defense. I would want to have a Terrapin for long range scanning and pick up the enemy and get the tactical advantage on them. Another thing that's really fascinating about this ship is the fact that this ship has landing gear. Yes, that's right. You can actually land this thing on a planet or a moon.
Wow.
It's not going to be very fast in atmosphere, but it's powerful enough to take off and land from the surface. It's amazing. So you can make this a base of operations on the ground as well as in space.
That makes it even more appealing from the mining perspective then, because with that in mind, you could come along, land that. Your caterpillars have then got somewhere to land to unload. Your moles have got somewhere to land to unload, etc. So from that perspective, this has got a heap of different opportunities for this.
So I picture myself, as I say, having a fleet unit someday with this as the core of it, and we're going to be about exploration and trading, and if we're out there and the pirates are out there and they want to come tango with us, well, bring it on, because we'll just be ready to take them on, take them out, and salvage up all the remains, profit from the engagement.
Absolutely. So I suppose the only thing left to do now then is go and grab the either the red or the blue, just to show off the lights.
Absolutely. I would say the blue at this point, just to show off that beautiful cockpit, because that is so impressive.
Well, let's go and have a quick little ganders at those then.
And then once again, as we're leaving here, this hall, they've just done a beautiful, beautiful job here. This is so impressive.
And I do like that. After the fleet launches, who's left to protect you?
Well, that's really what Drake's all about, right? They don't want to be the leading military ship provider. They want to be the leading provider of ships to just the ordinary people, but to give them, you know, the capability to have a ship they can afford, and yet that is still gives them a lot of capability and reasonable amount of protection. So they have to cut a few corners to make that equation work, but I think it's well worth it. Uh-oh, are you glitching again?
Yeah, it was a bit of a server lag issue.
Looked like you ran right through the wall for a second there, and then all of a sudden you blinked back in right in front of me.
It takes all of us working together.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, so what was it, year and a half ago, they had the expo was at Hurston, and they had one of these actually parked outside. And I've always wondered why they haven't brought that back, just to have that perspective of seeing it life-size outside like that would be wonderful. Let alone if they did the inside hall like you said they did with the Idris. That was even more impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Hangar 2 we're going to.
For the latest travel information, be sure to check the departure
All right,
and
then.
arrival boards conveniently located throughout the spaceport.
You're walking in place. Nope, that stopped.
Okay, next hangar.
Next hangar. Uh-oh.
You there?
Well, no. All of a sudden you were in the elevator moving away, but I'm sitting here looking at a blue. This isn't ours?
Oh no, it probably is ours, but for some reason it didn't appear for me by the looks of things.
I see it. Yeah, this is ours because I can open the door.
Yeah, it's not appeared to me yet. It'll appear in a minute, hopefully. Looks like you're doing a bit of a lean over Michael Jackson at the moment. Kind of moonwalking while doing Smooth Criminal.
Uh-oh, we might be losing the server. The inner door is not working for me. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there it goes. Okay, I got it. Yeah, alright. Well, it's working. I'm just gonna get in the pilot seat long enough to power it up so we can see the lights and everything going.
I'm just going to try and walk around it so I can get it to spawn in for me.
Well, hopefully when you do, you'll have some pretty lights to look at now.
I have a lot of camouflage on that. It works really well. Let me yeah, back to the lift. It did say the ship had expired when I tried to call it out, so I was like surprised it even
Really?
called, to be fair.
Oh,
Yeah, I did not expect it to call, if I'm completely honest with you, but it seemed to, so okay.
well, I'm going around, like I said, get you some B-roll for if you want to do a supplementary video later to add to what we've done here. This is really interesting walking around the outside of this one with it all lit up now. Really see a lot of features that the ship has, the different lights and the turrets and guns and everything. I'm going up along the side of the ship here just so you can see the turret better and the the guns on the top of the ship.
So this location for me is unknown. So I'm going to go and try and rent another one quick and see if I can spawn that.
I happen to own one of these. If you'd like, I can get that.
Went the wrong way. That might work.
Their job is your safety.
Okay.
Your personal belongings are your personal responsibility. Monitor your luggage at all times.
So last year, when they announced the Corsair, they had a Drake deal for what's called the Drake Complete Pack,
Okay.
which was every Drake ship with the exception of the Dragonfly Kitten Edition.
Yep.
I could live without, that's fine. But it is the Kraken, the Corsair, all of the Cutlasses, Buccaneer, Dragonfly, Herald, everything. Now they have one out that's the more complete pack because they've introduced now, we didn't talk about this earlier actually, is the Privateer Edition of the Kraken.
Okay, I can't rent it again. It won't let me. I tried.
Alright, I'm going to retrieve mine. So the Privateer version is a modular upgrade you can do to a Kraken that's going to turn it more into sort of a floating space station where you're going to have stores. It's Hangar 1, by the way. So you're going to have stores inside the ship, and you'll be able to basically lease out the space in those stores and be able to go to different places, and people will be able to buy and sell things in those stores. And then there's also going to be a more private trading area, which sounds sort of interesting.
Yeah, for illicit goods.
Threats.
Yes. Now, what it does do, though, is cut down quite a bit on just the standard cargo capability, because you're taking up so much space with those shops and their inventories that you lose a lot of that cargo capability. But it's still pretty impressive. I think it's 900 something. No, 700. 768 SCU.
Yeah, it's certainly
So
not a cargo
I'm
runner,
here
that is it?
in. No, that would not be. So I'm here in Hangar 1. I see you arriving, and let me see a ship.
Well, it gets better because I can't even see you now.
Oh, perfect.
So that pretty much kills that one then. So maybe that means
Let's
it's
try-
sort of sending me a message that it's time to maybe end the stream then for now.
Oh, okay. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
it's a bit unfortunate, but it looks like we might be about to lose the server, or it certainly looks like it's on its way down with the fact we're not able
Right.
to see the ships. But yeah, thank you very much for your help with this. I really appreciate it, Rocket. It's been very educational for me, and hopefully people learn something from it.
Yeah, my pleasure. I enjoyed doing it. Thanks, Peanut.
Okay, thank you viewers, see you again soon.